I'm Jackie. I've been a licensed attorney and commercial litigator for over 10 years. I'm a pop culture junkie, and I know stuff. Welcome to the Jackie Law Review. Let's go! Hey in-laws, welcome to the Jackie Law Review. Today we're going to be talking about Diddy. We're going to be talking about a couple of things today, right? First, we're going to expound on those 3 motions for bail. The first 2 were denied by 2 different judges. Now this third one is requesting that the motion be heard in front of a 3-judge panel. And I think this third one might actually have the language in it to where it could have stuck, right? The first 2 only talked about him not being a flight risk. The first 2 talked about him putting up his house, his mom's house, him surrendering his passport. He surrendered his children's passport. These are all things that speak to him not being a flight risk, right? But what he's being accused of is witness tampering. Witness tampering. Now, we know that, he has several civil lawsuits that are running concurrently with this criminal suit, which is not very common, but in this case, it's happening, right? So we have Dawn from Dirty Money, who is suing him for sexual harassment in a civil suit. And it's in the public arena that after that suit was filed, he reached out to the other member of Dirty Money over 50 times. He texted her over 50 times. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Cassie also alleged in her suit that he has these tactics where he's threatening people, right? People are sworn to secrecy because they're scared of him. And so if you have these allegations that are out there, why are you talking about him not being a flight risk? Why aren't you speaking to what the issue actually is? Well, now this new attorney, Attorney Shapiro, he finally filed a motion that talks about witness tampering, right? Like I said before, number 1, he said that, he was talking to some individuals, but this was all before he knew that he was under investigation by the Southern District of New York. And once he found out that he was under investigation, right, he ceased communication with those individuals. Also in this motion, he says that there's another witness, potential witness, who actually was the one who reached out to Diddy first. Diddy didn't reach out to that person first. They reached out to him. And once he found out that this was a potential witness, he also ceased communication with that person. So this might actually work to where he won't be detained leading up to trial. However, the standard for when the prosecution wants to keep someone detained while they're awaiting trial, the standard is actually really low. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's only clear and convincing evidence. So the question is, has the prosecution provided clear and convincing evidence that Diddy might tamper with witnesses? That's all they have to allege and show forth. They don't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt like you would think. No, it's a very, very low threshold. So unfortunately, what a lot of criminal defense attorneys, which I'm not, I'm a civil defense attorney, but a lot of criminal defense attorneys, they run into this issue of that threshold being low. It's a very low standard of proof that the prosecution has to prove. And so let's see, which brings me to my next point, right? So if this third motion is now denied again, he's going to be detained while he's awaiting trial. Defense counsel, Diddy's lawyers, also requested that trial be on May of 2025. This is the quickest turnaround trial that I've ever seen, trial date that I've ever seen. And if you're asking me from an experienced litigator if this trial is actually going in May of 2025, my guess is no. And I'll tell you why. Number 1, discovery. Prosecution has already said, what did they say? They've recovered 96 electronic devices, with 8 of those devices having 90 terabytes of info on them. 90 terabytes? Do you know how much 1 terabyte is? 90 terabytes? That's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks to go through. Weeks and weeks and weeks for attorneys to review. Shout out to my doc review attorneys in New York. Y'all are going to make some money. But that's going to take a long time. Discovery is going to be voluminous. So you ask, why would his attorneys try to rush and have trial in May of 2025. Number one, maybe they think that he's going to get denied bail again, and he's going to be detained this whole time. They don't want him in jail under those conditions, in prison, under those conditions, waiting for trial. As you all know, a defendant who has been released looks very different than a defendant who has been detained while they're waiting for trial. Take, for example, YSL, Young Thug, the RICO trial. Young Thug went into jail extremely skinny. Now, if you're looking at any of the video footage from his trial, he looks very different than what he looked like before. And so maybe defense counsel feels like this might be jarring to the jury. I don't know. Who knows? But I don't think they want him looking like someone who's been detained when he shows up in that courtroom, right? Number two, let's look at it this way. This is the prosecution. This is their case, right? Just like in a civil suit, this is the plaintiff's case. So they are the ones who have to present their case in chief first. So maybe Diddy's lawyers are trying to get it to where prosecution is scrambling, trying to make this May 2025 date. And so they're not able to meet their burden during their case in chief, right? Because defense, they have some time. Not to say that they're not going to be preparing for their case too, but it's not the same. They don't go first. Prosecution goes first. And if they don't meet their burden, they might not have that much to do when it comes time to put on their case in chief, right? So that might be a tactic. Again, back to my original point, I do not think that this trial is actually going in May of 2025, but we'll see. But you heard it here first at the Jackie Law Review. This trial is going to get continued to a later date, especially if there are more allegations that come up throughout the duration of trial, right? If there are new allegations that come up, then absolutely there's a possibility that this trial will be continued because new allegations will come up in the course of discovery and during trial. So I don't think it's going in May of 2025. I don't think so, but we'll see.